Hey guys, Ivan here, and in this video we got a couple of very interesting bodybuilding updates. The first thing we got is some breaking news. Actually, Derek Lunsford tore his chest only a couple of weeks before the Mr. Olympia. Alright, so only 2 hours ago, Derek uploaded a video on his YouTube channel in which he's talking about his approach to this Mr. Olympia, how this year was for him. He talks about a lot of stuff in this video, but at the beginning of the video, he actually says that he tore his pec only a few weeks before this year's Mr. Olympia, guys. How crazy is that? So he posted a video in which he explains how it happened. At the moment he's filming this, it has been 16 days since the injury, but the injury happened 32 days before the Mr. Olympia at September 10th, so he was doing some incline dumbbell presses and something snapped. And as he says, there was no immediate bruising, the aesthetics didn't change of his chest, everything looked normal and felt pretty normal, but in the next couple of days it started bruising pretty badly. So I would say he was very lucky with this one. A chest tear is the worst tear that can happen to a bodybuilder, basically, because you can recover from any tear, basically, and go back to training pretty fast. But if you tear your quad, for example, and your quads are not perfectly symmetrical, that's not a problem. With chest, it is. That's the biggest issue with pec tears. It can seriously ruin your symmetry, your aesthetics, because chest is in the center of the physique, even more so than the midsection. Like, you can get away with a asymmetrical midsection, you see that very often, it's pretty common. It's not that strange to the eye that a midsection doesn't look perfectly symmetrical or perfectly aesthetic, but with chest, it's different. If you have a pec tear and you do a surgery and you bring back the function, it can still look unaesthetic, asymmetrical. And it's also not a guarantee that you can recover from it fully. It's not as simple as, for example, bicep tear. It's definitely way more complicated and complex. But hey, Derek got away with it. He had some bruising and he probably had some trouble training for those 2 weeks, basically. After 2 weeks, after 16 days since his injury, he said he was pretty much there, almost 100% there, able to train fully at his maximum capacity. And he says mentally he was already ready, which is crazy, to be honest. I had a couple of injuries before, a couple of minor ones, like in my hamstring, in my quad, in my hip, in my trap once, but I tore my adductor once, like really badly. I was pretty much unable to walk for a while, and after I recovered, I felt normal. I still had trouble really going hard on legs, because I was afraid I might tear it again. And with pecs, it's even worse. Like, that's your worst nightmare as a bodybuilder. If you tear your pec, you're pretty much done. Your career is over. You will never be as good as you were. So Derek, who is fighting to win the Mr. Olympia after winning the Arnold Classic and Pittsburgh, basically tears a pec, and only 2 weeks later, he's already mentally prepared to push his training. I mean, that kind of tells me a little bit of something about his mentality, his mindset as the champion. Say what you want about him, he does have his issues, that's well known, but still, he does have that champion mentality. He didn't become the Mr. Olympia by accident, twice now, and Arnold Classic champion, Pittsburgh Pro champion. I mean, this guy definitely has a strong mindset, and let's take a look at his physique actually on that stage. Was there any noticeable difference in his pecs? I don't think so. I don't think I noticed anything. Smooth, as usual. But perfectly symmetrical, basically. Yeah, nothing noticeable here. Here is a pose in which you would notice it more. Here he flexes the chest. The left one. No, man, I don't think anything is wrong with it. So yeah, it seems like this had no effect on his aesthetics, on his symmetry. His chest looks fine to me. I don't see any noticeable difference. Here, maybe his right pec looks a little bit bigger. So maybe he trained that right pec a little bit more and it got more fullness, but no, I don't think so. I don't think this has anything to do with the injury here. So yeah, I'm sure it affected him at least a little bit mentally. Like this happening to you a couple of weeks before the Mr. Olympia, I'm sure it wasn't nice. I'm sure it wasn't pleasant, but he kept training. Only 2 weeks after this, he was able to go 100% on it. And this kind of shows you how resilient Derek Lunsford actually is. Again, say what you want about him, but you gotta give him this one. This guy does not quit. In his YouTube video, he also talks about some other struggles he had this year preparing for all these 3 shows and ending up winning all 3 of them. Definitely earns my respect and I'm sure all of yours. So whether you like him or hate him, he is your Mr. Olympia, and he didn't get there easily. He had his troubles. Maybe the other guys had trouble as well. I have no idea. He's the one who talks about this. So here you go, guys. You tell me whatever you think. Also, this kind of justifies that moment he had backstage where Chris Aceto had to help him out, to push him, to motivate him to actually go on that stage. But again, guys, who the hell knows what the other guys went through this prep? We only know what happened to Derek since he told us. But whatever you guys think about this, tell me down below in the comment section. Alright, the next thing we got is about Samson Dauda. So, as you guys know, he was the reigning Mr. Olympia. He won the Mr. Olympia last year. Then he failed at the Arnold Classic to defeat Derek Lunsford. And then again, he failed at the Mr. Olympia, not only to defend his title, but to crack the top 2, top 3. He ended up all the way down in 4th. Now, he talked a little bit about what happened in a post. He said basically that he listened to everything he was told to do. He did everything right, but things went sideways. And now, actually today, we got a story from him addressing this topic again in a video format, and he explains kind of what he thinks happened. I'm not gonna say what happened, but what he thinks happened, because I have to disagree with him as well. I don't know what is going on with these guys. First Nick Walker, now Samson also. It seems like these guys really can't look at themselves objectively and figure it out, see what is actually happening. So this is why I'm putting an emphasis on these guys need coaches with authority. Not their wives or their friends. They need coaches who are gonna be their authority, tell them exactly what to do, and they just need to listen to it without disobeying, without having their opinions. Just execute the orders, and that's all you need to do as an athlete. That's the way I see it, guys. That's the way I like to coach people as well. But some bodybuilders, especially the most successful ones, the bigger ones, they have their egos. Some of them can actually prep by themselves, and they actually do know their bodies. But the ones who don't, they need to stop listening to themselves, to their wives, to their friends, and they need to actually focus on the work ahead and just listen to the instructions of their coaches who they respect. Now, I can't play the audio of this video for you guys because it has some music in the background, but basically what he says is that he pushed conditioning. As you can see, because I added the captions, basically he pushed the conditioning and he wasn't able to fill up. That's the way he sees it. He thinks he was just unable to carb up properly. Basically, he's giving us the same excuse like Nick Walker is doing. Nick thinks it was a peak week mistake, he was holding water, I guess, but Samson thinks he was unable to carb up, to fill up. Is this true? Is this correct? Is he accurate with this? I think literally everybody whose assessment of this show I watched disagrees with this, and it's opinion of everybody, including myself very much so, that the reason why he failed was not because he didn't carb up, but because he actually burned the muscle away. Even if you go back in time at 6 weeks before the Mr. Olympia, I would say this Samson Dauda right here looked better than he did on the Mr. Olympia stage. Now here he was also downsized, but at least he was conditioned. I would say this was probably his best conditioning we ever saw on the stage, and it was only his guest posing. So if he maintained this, at least, if he, at this point, basically brought up the food and went to the show with higher food, that's what I would do at least, then he would probably, show up bigger and fuller with similar condition, if not better condition. But he made a mistake during this prep, again, because he didn't have the proper guidance, somebody with experience who knows how to fix mistakes when they start happening. Like, his wife is prepping him, yeah, but basically what she's doing is she's copying what Milos Sarcev used to do with Samson. She was prepping Samson a long time ago when he was an amateur. She helped him to turn pro, and then after that he was without a coach for a long time. John Meadows took over for a while before he passed away. Then Milos Sarcev started prepping Samson, and Milos has this old school approach, which I like. I have nothing against, but I don't know, it's not the only approach. I would say it's not super adaptable. It works for some people, for others not really. It worked well for Samson, and his wife, Samson's wife, was following exactly what Milos was doing. They were talking about the decisions. She was always involved, so she thought she learned everything from Milos. And the first year it worked because there were no issues. Everything went smoothly for Samson, and he won the Mr. Olympia because he's that much superior to everybody else with his genetics. But the next year, something went a little bit wrong. He was burning way too much muscle, and she didn't know how to handle this. He didn't know how to do it himself. If he had an experienced coach, a high-level, modern-era coach, let's put it that way, they would know what to do. Milos would know exactly what to do if he was actually prepping Samson for this year as well. If he took over from this point, I know Samson would look crazy on Mr. Olympia stage, and he would most likely win the show. But what they did is they pushed for conditioning even more. They thought he can be even leaner, and he didn't end up leaner. He just lost muscle, which resulted in a softer and a smaller physique. Definitely not what they were hoping for. So in my opinion, what Samson is saying, it's completely wrong. It's not just that he failed to carb up, to fill up, as he says. No, it's definitely more to it than that. He lost muscle, guys. He needed to take it easy at one point, at 6 weeks out, bring up the food, bring up the carbs. And also I'm thinking like he was talking a lot about how he was doing very, very small doses. Merrick held guys for tracking his blood work, this and that. Maybe you remember, but after last year's Mr. Olympia, there was this one guy from Merrick who was tracking Samson's blood work, helping him with the decisions about the gear, and eventually Samson gave him no credit, so I think they fell apart, but Samson probably continued using very low dosages. Do I think that was an issue? No, I don't think that's it. I don't think he didn't do enough gear. I don't think that was a problem. I think it's basically just the food. They pushed for crazy condition, and they did it the wrong way. You know, once your body starts burning fat very fast, you need to give it more food to prevent the catabolism. It can happen very easily. So this is a rookie mistake basically that happened to Samson here, and it's very, very common. It happens to a lot of guys when they don't have another set of the eyes who is gonna be completely objective towards them. A wife won't be objective, a friend won't be objective, but a high-level coach who knows what they're doing, who is not your friend, who only wants to see your physique do well, is gonna help you with these decisions properly. Now, here is also another story that Samson posted on his IG, basically him posing after the Mr. Olympia, after he had a couple of cheat meals, I guess, and yeah, he did fill out. If he filled out more for the Mr. Olympia, I think he would look better, but to win the Mr. Olympia, that would not do it. He still needs a few more months of having higher food and training hard and doing everything right to bring his physique back to where it was, but even at this point right here, he looks significantly better. So if he carved up properly, he would look much better on that stage. So yeah, carving up is also another thing. Another mistake, but it was not all. He wasn't just flat, he was small as well, definitely downsized. But being flat was an issue as well. And when you get super flat like that, it's going to be more difficult to carb up. So that's also something they needed to know, which they didn't. And yeah, that was a mistake. He admits that one, but as far as losing the muscle in the prep, he doesn't seem to acknowledge that. But there is Prague Pro in 2 weeks from now, and if he wanted to show us that he was actually flat on the stage, he can do the Prague Pro, carb up properly for that one, and show us how much muscle he actually lost or didn't lose. But no, I think that would be a huge mistake. He needs to take some more time off, a couple of months at least. I don't know about the Arnold Classic, maybe do the Arnold Classic, but if he wants to win the Mr. Olympia back, I think he needs a full year of really focusing on bringing back the size and actually doing a proper prep in which he's gonna get more condition but also stay as big as possible. If he does that successfully, he can definitely win at least another Mr. Olympia title, if not a few more. But whatever you guys think, tell me down below in the comment section. Alright, and the last thing we got is this crazy welcome that Ramon Dino received after coming back home to Brazil. Brazilian fans, man, they are the craziest after Iranian fans. I'm sure Hadi received a bigger welcome than Ramon Dino, even though he didn't win. But right after Iran, we have Brazil with the best fans by far. Imagine what kind of a welcome would Mike Sommerfeld receive, for example, if he won the Mr. Olympia and came back to Germany. I mean, that's also partly about him being the way he is, but also the other bigger countries like the USA, the Germany, the UK, the Canada, whatever. Nobody has fans like these guys have in Brazil and Iran. I don't know why is that. I know in Iran, bodybuilding is treated like the national sport. Everybody's following bodybuilding basically over there. A similar thing in Egypt. I don't know about Brazil, probably also similar thing for whatever reason, but I think that's really awesome, really cool to see. I wish that was the case in every country, but unfortunately it's not. However, in Brazil, as you can see, these guys are crazy about Ramon Dino, and if you look at the comments everywhere, everybody is just typing those dinosaur emojis whenever you talk about Ramon Dino or any other classic competitor, really. Also like with Hadi Chopin, whenever you see a photo of Derek Lunsford, for example, in the comment section you see an emoji or a gif of Hadi Chopin. So yeah, these fans are next level, and it's really wholesome to see how Ramon Dino is being treated back home. Really, really cool to see. Look at this. Look at this. He's gotta be so happy right now. Amazing. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel for more content like this, and see you guys in the next video. All the best. Bye-bye.